Welcome to Grow Overload. I'm Anthony, and Microsoft has an update on Windows 11 minimum system requirements. Microsoft today came out with a fun little blog post on updates on Windows 11 minimum system requirements. Now, if you are an insider, you can actually download the first build today of Windows 11. You actually get to try it out, and we will see if it installs on my Surface Pro 4. I'll put it in the comment or the description below if it did install. I've downloading it right now, and it says it's 73% installed. Who knows? Maybe I'll restart it while I'm in this, and it might get done. It might not. However, Microsoft is going on here in the second paragraph, and my Surface. By the way, before I jump into the second paragraph here, my Surface Pro 4 is a 6th generation processor. Keep that in mind. The attention of today's post is to acknowledge and clarify the confusion caused by the PC Health Check tool. PC Health Check tool. No, Microsoft, is caused by all your blog posts, all your documentation that you put out on here, and you're failing to announce it during what the system requirements are. The PC Health Check tool was just pushing over the edge because people are trying to figure out if their PC was even qualified or not. So you blaming it on this PC Health Check tool decides that Panos Panay did not take acknowledgement of what he didn't announce during the Windows 11 announcement. That's just the way it is. And you trying to pass it off on a piece of software is not correct at all. Below you will find changes we are making based upon that feedback, ensuring that we will be able to really for Windows installers to install Windows 11 on 11th generation processors to give us more data about performance and feedback. So we'll see. I guess my 6th generation Surface Pro should not work. Why is it even installing at this point is beyond me. So we jump in here. It's about performance and security, about updating our PC Health Check tool. Why the new Windows 11 minimum system requirements? Now these you'll guys get a laugh out of. So Windows 11 is built on a completely set of experiences unlocking the full power of our PC customers have come to rely on. Well, your PC customers have come to rely on that your OS will be updated and you will have good legacy support. That's what your PC customers have came to rely on Microsoft. So they're saying including areas like security, reliability, compatibility, video conferences, multitasking, playing, creating, building, learning, and more. Wait, security, reliability? Microsoft, you break your own Windows with updates. And this happens on multiple machines. I've managed test machines. I'm a developer and I do manage test machines. And you with Windows updates, I have to be so careful because you break software so easily. Or I should say you break certain things in .NET Framework very easily too. Mind-boggling me. They really want to be known for the reliability, but yet they're not willing to work on it. So we need a minimum system requirement that enables us to adapt software and hardware and keep pace with people's expectations. How about get better at testing? Get better at getting those tests in a state that you can constantly have them done, right? And know where your software is at. I mean, that how hard is that? Well, okay, I'll put it this way. It's really hard for a lot of companies to get right. It takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of dedication to get it right. I'm still striving that myself. Now, I feel like I've built a pretty robust one where I work for this piece of software I work on, but there's always room to improve, and you have to be dedicated to that. Developers have to be willing to put in the effort to get the tests written. They know the software the best. They know the code the best, right? Because they wrote it. You can have another software team on top of it, but maybe I'll go into software testing and building and everything else later on of how I view it. But let's jump into the first one here. Windows 11 raises the bar for security by requiring hardware that enables protections like Windows Hello, device encryption, virtualization-based security, hypervisor protocols, hypervisor protocol code integrity, and secure boot. Okay, I can get on board with that. But some of the systems, like my Surface Pro 4, passes that. right? It's not passing the processor part of it. So that's a little bit different, isn't it? To meet the principles, all Windows 11 supported CPUs have an embedded TPM to support secure boot and support VBS and specific VBS capabilities. So now I have to see if my 6th gen CPU, my Surface Pro 4, now I have 2 of them in my house, right? I have one, my wife has one. I'll get to this and supporting this processor in a second on this device of what I think Microsoft should do. Device upgraded to Windows 11 will be supported and reliable state by choosing CPUs that have adopted the new Windows driver model and are supported by our OEMs and silicon founders who have achieved a 99.98 crash-free experience. Okay. Once you get through laughing about that and look at it here, Microsoft, get your OS stable enough so that it can be up 99.8% of the time. For people that do really critical work. I don't think it's there for my calculations on certain machines that I deal with on a daily basis. And I deal with quite a few machines. And I have to keep track of what's there. Microsoft saying this, in the last year alone, how many times did they break Windows 10 with an update? How many? I know some of you can leave it in the comments below of how many times that they have had broken experiences just from a Windows update. But Windows requiring this from their CPU partners, and maybe that there's someplace in here talking about them going to have better reliability on their process because of this, or better reliability in their OS because of this. But I didn't see it, and I've only read through it a little bit. This will be my second time, so. Let's jump to the third one. Compatibility. Windows 11 is designed to be compatible with the apps you use. It has fundamentals of greater than 1 gigahertz, 2-core, 4 gigabyte, and 64 gigabyte storage, aligning with our minimum system requirements for Office and Microsoft Teams. Well, that's not true, Microsoft. This right here, greater than 1 gigahertz, 2-core processor. That is newer than what, right? You have a caveat. My Surface Pro 4 has an i7 6650U. That 6650U is 2 cores, 4 threads. Qualification, check. I have 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Qualify. It has the TPM chip, which if you run the health check, it looks like it passes. The only thing it doesn't pass is the memory, or is the CPU processor model number. So this is not true, Microsoft. This 1 gigahertz 2-core processor is not true. You have a caveat, and that caveat needs to be listed. Not a asterisk and say here's a list of processors. At least put generic and put newer than this. So, then you get to the fun part of this. You've already had the humor of, crash-free experience on a company that can't get their updates to work correctly. I'm dealing with fixing, people's computers right now. After an update, it screwed up something with that is just driving me up the wall. And now the computer's crashing. It didn't crash for multiple years, and now an update is causing it to crash. So I think this is more on Microsoft not willing to really put the effort in to develop a good piece of software. And I'm sure the developers are good, but it comes to a point in time where developers are stretched to their limits, right? You need more development help. And maybe Microsoft is in that boat where they just don't want to hire any more developers for Windows 11, right? There's some of that goes on. Who knows what the higher ups are really doing? I know that this is pretty annoyed video, but I'm annoyed at this. So, using the principles above, we are confident the device running the 8th generation processors and AMD Zen 2, as well as Qualcomm 7 and 8 series, will meet our principles around security and reliability and minimum system requirements for Windows 11. What it seems to me is that Microsoft, in just this sentence here, kind of arbitrarily picked something and said, oh yeah, this is what we think is going to work. Let's just go with it. We're not going to test it. We're not going to go check with our partners. Maybe they did, but they could have wrote it that way, right? I think they need to open this up for everyone, or tell us what is the actual limiting factor to this, right? Is it crashes? You can put an asterisk there, Microsoft, and let people install it at their own risk, right? You don't have to force the update. You can make them go get the update if they want it on there, like my Surface Pro 4, and just have, you know, I'm going to be servicing it anyways. So why does it matter to you on my device that I bought, right? You're arbitrarily doing this. If it comes in at greater than 1 gigahertz, 2-core processors, 4 gig of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, has your TPM that you want, why do you care about the processor model number? As Windows released to insiders and partners and OEMs, we'll test to identify devices running on 7th gen and AMD Zen 1 that may meet our principles. Yeah, they're principles. That may meet our principles, not even requirements. We're committed to sharing updates with you on the results of our testing over time, as well as sharing additional technical blogs. I'll be waiting for them, and I'll probably do another video on them, because I may be just as annoyed. I spend a lot of time in, overlooking, what Windows to support, what Linux to support, what, processor support, what to do, and we always lean on the side of supporting more than what can really run our software. But the thing is that the customer needs to be able to choose, right? I'm not going to me, forcing customers to buy new machines to get on Windows 11, as you're talking about, as the gaming one, right? The gaming, it's going to be all for gaming, right? You said a lot about that, a lot of work-oriented stuff, right? Productivity. Are you really dedicated at the Microsoft? And at the end of this, I'm going to go on their little thing about e-waste, because I think Microsoft's not thinking about that. With the minimum requirements in mind, the PC Health Check was intended to help people check their current Windows 10 could be upgraded to Windows 11. Really? I don't think so. It just said pass fail. And considering you have to turn some stuff on in BIOS, depending upon what computer you have, it didn't really intend to do anything besides ask more questions. And either that wasn't part of the design process, or that wasn't thought of in the design process. That's what's frustrating. Is that I don't understand how you go through and look at a piece of software like this that you want to check to see if you're qualified to run Windows 11, knowing that you might have to turn on the BIOS for it, BIOS feature for it. Why then? Why then you didn't, in the design process, said, actually, if I was a user, I'd want to know what was wrong with my computer. And that should be listed there. Like, how did that not come up in the design process? That's what I don't get. Oh, man. Based on feedback so far, we acknowledge that we are not fully prepared to share this level of detail and accuracy you expect from us on why Windows PC doesn't fully meet the requirements. No, really. We're temporarily removing the app so that our team can address the feedback. We'll get it back online in preparation for general availability this fall. In the meantime, you can visit our minimum system requirements page. Oh, there's a person on GitHub, and I have not downloaded the piece of software. I've only seen it on Twitter, but I've heard some really good positive stuff about it. Kudos to you, whoever you are, that you were able to whip up something better than what Microsoft Tools was, and you. In all intents and purposes, I think that you're fully having a better written piece of software made Microsoft pull theirs. It's hilarious. Oh, my goodness. Some days, I just don't know what Microsoft's thinking. Well, I can say that to quite a few companies, but today is one of those days. So, today they're releasing the first preview build. In support of the Windows System Requirements, we set the bar for previewing insiders to map to minimum system requirements. I'm 96% installed. I'll let you know in the comments below. With the exception of TPM 2.0 and your CPU family model. So here you go, Microsoft. So my guess is that it's going to install fine on my Surface Pro 4. Here I am. You're willing to let me test your software, which in all cases, I've been an insider from day one. I have made sure I've filed bug reports. I have pushed the piece of software of Windows. Whoops. That's my Surface going off now, notifying me. But it is amazing to me that you're willing to take all that feedback, right? Because you're trying to make a better OS, which I commend. Right? You're using us as software testers in the real world. That's fine. That is not an excuse to get rid of your own testing. But those people that are willing to go and test your software, right? These two things, the TPM, you have an exception for them. Start to make me think that they're arbitrary, not required. So if you're willing to turn these on and off, chances are you need more Windows insiders to test this, and they are outside of the TPM 2.0 and the CPU family model that you're trying to get as minimum requirements. Or enough of them are that you won't need a pool big enough so that you get a diverse enough data set on how Windows 11 performing that you need to turn these off. Now, I could be wrong, but then why don't you just make it a hard requirement? Now, granted, my updates are underway right now, my Surface Pro. I fully think that you should just enable it to everybody and put an asterisk to everyone that puts it, that wants to go out, get it, and install it. That's on a system that you deem is not blessed by you for the CPU. So yeah, I mean, Microsoft's even admitting we will learn how Windows 11 performs across CPU models more comprehensively, informing any adjustments we should make to our minimum system requirements in the future. We look forward to product feedback and learning as it is an important step to prepare Windows 10 for general availability later this year. You thank Windows Insiders for their community. Thank you to the Windows Insiders community for your excitement and your feedback thus far. We'll see how they take our feedback. Because really, it needs to be, I say, anyone that has the requirements of the TPM chip, the greater than 1 gigahertz, 2 cores, let them install it. Right? Except, the TPM here, 2.0, seems like it's going to be, it's just an arbitrary requirement because you've disabled it for the insiders. That's the weird thing. You've disabled it for the insiders. So, here's the blog post. I've gone through it here. You guys can read through it again. Let me know your thoughts below. But on the Surface Pro, right? If Microsoft is going to cut off 6th gen and earlier, I don't know. I could see states. I could see countries going as far as going after Microsoft for creating, yes, I know they're supporting till 2025. But There's an e-waste. I think there's an e-waste problem. You know, taking all these electronics, throwing them in landfills, I don't think is the best thing. I try my hardest to make sure that these computers, as if they are usable at any iota, that they get in the hands to somebody that can use them. And I've been that way from day one. I've reused hardware, have used hardware, have given a lot of PCs away to people to make sure, one, I want to upgrade them and be a blessing to somebody else, right? If they need a better computer, you know, people fall in hard times or whatever, I'm willing to give them a computer as long as I have an extra one on hand or can get my hands on one cheaply enough. I try to give them a computer. And I want them to have the best experience possible. So on a lot of these machines I give away, I put a lot of effort in testing them, making sure they're up to date, making sure that they're going to have longevity so that, you know, and some of these people may, you know, I've dealt with them many, many years. Gosh, it's going on 20 years. It is 20 years. Oh, man. But I've dealt with them knowing that they're not going to buy a computer in the next 4 to 5 years. They're not going to buy a computer in the next 8 years. Right? They're going to hold on to that, and that's going to be their computer that they're going to use for a very long period of time. Now, it'd be great if I could just go through, get them all new machines, and really help them out that way. I'm not made of money, but I really like to be able to do that. However, that creates another thing where that hardware is still good and working, and I still would want to use it and give it to somebody else. So my thing is that Microsoft really needs a recycling program. Countries may even go as far as, I can see countries, states, whatever, go as far as saying, Microsoft, with this arbitrary requirement, you're going to have to pay for some of the recycling cost of all these machines. Right? That's just something you see these days with companies or with countries, and I could easily see that. However, Microsoft, maybe what you need to do is you and your partners, I know that it seems like you're trying to do this to sell computers, but you and your partners need to be able to put a recycling program together that really actually does a good job of recycling these things and gives a steep discount if this is what you're going to do. Right? I think if Microsoft would have also came out with their new Surface lineup at the same time, saying that this will be released here with, you can buy a Surface now, it will be upgraded for free for Windows 11. Of course, Windows 11 update was free. But here's the trade-in policy. I think you'd have a much better reception. The angle you took on this was very weird. With the arbitrary stuff, you know, now all of a sudden 7th gen, yeah, it looks like we could do that. Zen 1 too. I have a good friend. He has a Zen 1. Now he's in the process of updating his computer. But let's say he gives that computer to somebody else. And it's a gaming machine. Shouldn't they, with NVMe drives in it, shouldn't they have the capability to run in the latest Windows 11 stuff with all the latest gaming tricks and features? I think so. I don't think it should be arbitrary based upon what processor you use. I think you should be enabling as many people as possible to experience the enhancements of Windows 11. Time will see if Windows 11 has enhancements, but for this conversation, let's put it as enhancements, right? So Microsoft, I'd say you rethink this and you just get rid of the processor requirement. If you want, only force it for Zen 2 or Zen 1 and up, Intel 7th gen and up, and put an asterisk next to that you need to meet the minimum requirements of 1 gigahertz. I thought maybe that this was to do with some of the security issues that were in the processors that may or may not have been patched. Now, I think that Intel or AMD should patch those. Time will tell if they do. But, right, just this upgrade of computers, you don't want to keep souring people over and over again, because people keep getting sour of what's going on, and it gets annoying and people don't like it. So I know I've rambled on quite a bit here, and I'm just frustrated to no end, because as a developer, I do not condone doing stuff like this at all, with exception for making exceptions, then enabling and restricting users later on. I think that's bad business practices. I think it's also bad software development. It's either on or off for that requirement, because you want to get to understand, you don't want to change requirements later on and then have a whole other mess of things that you have to deal with. So leave it in the comments below of what you guys think on this. I think it's kind of laughable what Microsoft did in this post, and they had some humor in there, right? Reliability, Microsoft and reliability. Yes, I've been very disappointed in your reliability here, Microsoft, in the last probably 18 months, roughly. So maybe Windows 11 will straighten that out. I've also been dissatisfied with how you've been adding pork to your OS. Maybe you'll make that a little bit cleaner and a little bit faster. But leave it in the comments below what you think about this, and I'll probably make another video once they come up with more technical details, and hopefully that they have a reasoning behind this. So yeah, let me know, and until next time, God bless. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. I really appreciate everything you guys do for this channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe.